Star Ocean Blue Sphere. While the Game Boy Color game with this name has been accessible for its entire existence, the same cannot be said for the mobile game based on it. The Game Boy Color game released in 2001, and 8 years later, the mobile game based on it was released with some changes and additions made to it. New graphics, artwork, and gameplay mechanics were added to add to the overall experience, and to make tweaks so the mobile experience was a lot less clunky than it could have been. Unlike most JRPGs, combat was not turn-based, which set this franchise apart from others, and even with that, since this game changed the gameplay from the original game, that meant it was a departure from the norm. Sadly, Square Enix cut off support from the online servers, and since those were required to play the game, and apparently no ROMs are known to exist, the game will likely remain lost.
It's like they say that our love is just fun. The day that our friendship begun. Well, there's no blue moon that I can see. There's never been in history because our love was just fun.
Just fun. What you just heard was a snippet of what's generally known to be one of the first Beatles songs ever. The song was called Just Fun, and it was written by John Lennon and Paul McCartney in 1957. It's one of the first songs the two wrote together, although there's no record of it ever being performed by the Beatles in full throughout its history, even before the band was called the Beatles. The only known performance was a rough performance during the production of the film Get Back in 1969, and obviously this means no studio recording exists, if there ever was a studio recording of the song. Some other performances exist by Paul McCartney, but the only recording of any of them was the snippet I just played, which comes from a 2016 interview with Rolling Stone magazine. Die Hard 2 for the Sega Master System. Developed by Tiertex, this game was supposed to release for the Sega Master System in 1992. As you can probably tell, the Die Hard 2 game was based on the movie of the same name. Other systems had no problem releasing this game, such as the Commodore 64 and Amiga. Some British magazines had previewed the game and announced release dates. These changed from January 1992 to March 1992, until the game was once again delayed to September of 1992. After this, the magazine Sega Pro announced that the game was indefinitely postponed for quality reasons, as Sega was not satisfied with the game. It's worth noting that Tiertex had a reputation for developing low-quality games, so this was no surprise. Since the game was finished, it's unknown if any copies were ever made and kept by insiders, and besides that, no ROMs have leaked either. Ever since Bioforce Ape got found, you can never say never on video game searches like this, though. Louis Anderson's Family Feud pilot. In the 90s, for a short period of a few years, Family Feud had gone dormant. After 1995, there were plans to produce new episodes, and so a search began for a new host. Names like Richard Dawson and even Dolly Parton were people considered, but eventually, Pearson, who held the rights to Family Feud, selected Louis Anderson. Anderson, however, didn't want to produce a pilot, and instead had Pearson record Louis playing the game informally with his family. As you can imagine, the set was low budget, and this pilot had a very informal feel to it. But Pearson liked what they saw, and Louis Anderson ended up becoming the new host. Fremantle are now the current rights holders, and it's unknown if they have a copy of this pilot. Some clips were shown from a talk show interview with Louis Anderson, but since Louis Anderson died recently, either his estate or Fremantle releasing the pilot would be the only way for it to become found.
Feel the need for greed.
I want that money, Chuck.
Go for the money.
I'm so sorry.
Is Buddy Holly worth $1 million? Yeah! Unbelievable.
Greed. This show was meant to be Fox's answer to Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, which was a very successful show for ABC. The game became more of a team effort with higher stakes, as the top prize was $2 million instead of $1 million. The show only lasted one season, as it didn't gather the ratings Fox wanted, and a couple of years later, GSN would gain the rights to air reruns of the show in syndication. Of the 44 episodes made, 14 are lost completely, with many of the episodes only partially being available. Since no reruns of the show have aired since 2008, the likelihood of an official release of the show isn't high. Only people who possess recordings would be able to contribute to the search in any way. Sister Sonic. To localize the game Popful mailed to an American audience, Sega decided to reskin that game as Sister Sonic for the Sega CD. Popful Mail was a PC game in Japan and did eventually get a proper release on the Sega CD, but not after backlash from fans. It was announced that a new RPG was planned to release entitled Sister Sonic, and after finding out it would be reskinning the release of Popful Mail, fans weren't too happy, eventually leading to Sega changing their mind and releasing Popful Mail in its original state. Obviously, because of this, the Sister Sonic reskin is lost. It's unknown how much of the game was finished before the decision was reversed. I guess you could say Sega really tried to mail it in there, didn't they? Despicable Me 2 Al Pacino Audio. To capitalize on the success of the first Despicable Me movie, a sequel was made, with Al Pacino portraying the villain El Macho. 2 months before the film was set to release, it was announced that Pacino left the production due to creative differences. His voiceovers were already completed at this point, but out of respect to Pacino they weren't used, and his lines were redubbed. There hasn't been a public release of any of Pacino's material, and likely never will be. And this is somewhat annoying, but none of the trailers for the film featured his character, though several of them credit Pacino as having a role in the film, which is some of the only evidence in existence that he acted in the film. SpongeBob Got Milk TV ad. In 2001, many magazines ran an ad for Got Milk, which shows SpongeBob and Patrick drinking chocolate milk and getting it on their face, where the third frame implies SpongeBob absorbed the milk. While the Got Milk ad campaign has featured many celebrities and fictional characters in print, they've also made plenty of television ads, especially in the early 2000s. And despite this magazine ad surfacing, people still remembered a similar TV ad airing around the same time, but no one could prove its existence. That was until this screenshot surfaced, showing a very similar setting to the magazine ad. This screenshot is the only proof of the TV ad's existence, and it's unknown what source this screenshot could have come from that wouldn't be able to leak the entire full ad.
Some can be gems.
A diamond ring.
Rocked it, nailed it, rotate. See me after it rains.
Rainbow.
Rotate.
Win, Lose, or Draw. This was a game show that aired on the Disney Channel back in 2014. It was actually based on a game show of the same name that aired on NBC back in the late 80s and early 90s. The game involved contestants with actors from Disney shows performing tasks dealing with drawing, hence the name. The show was like a blip on the radar, though. It showed up in 2014 and hasn't aired since. Episodes were far from being aired in order, as the first episode to air was the last one produced. Of the 40 episodes that were produced and aired, only 10 are still fully available, with sporadic clips of other episodes in varying quality on YouTube. It's unknown if a Disney Plus release is in the cards, as that seems to be the last hope for a lot of lost Disney media to become found. Ice King Fan 400 vs. Jared S. Part 2. The rap battle community, as we've established, is a goldmine for lost media, as many episodes get deleted and privated for various reasons. This one is a bit different, however. Ice King Fan 400 vs. Jared S. and its sequel were meant to be a celebration of the different people in the community, with depictions of various creators in each. Roughly a year ago, these videos were privated, and no one knew exactly why. I remember reading a source somewhere that said they were privated because one of the creators depicted in one of the videos tragically ended his own life. I don't remember where I saw that, but if I find the source, I'll be sure to make a community post and give proper credit. If that's true, then the videos have been taken down out of respect and solidarity. The audio to both of these can still be heard on SoundCloud, and the video of the first one can be watched through the Wayback Machine, but aside from that, the footage from the second video is gone. and due to the allegedly heavy nature of why the videos were privated, it's unlikely we'll get to see them on YouTube again.